Okay, so there's her side to the story, and there's my side. So let me share my side first. So we were friends for after that. Like I said, after that,
So many years.
yeah, after that experience, we were friends. Were best man and chief bridesmaid for our mentor and the wife. So on and on like that. We're friends. We established communication. So I used to ghost on her. Maybe later we'll talk about that in details. What happened was the friendship had grown to a point where we're talking on a steady.
And he was speaking relationship, but in coded terms. But I was getting it because I had been in a relationship. Please go on, sir.
Yeah, so so I was, you have to know how to play your card. The fact that you are spiritual, some of us are just very spiritual. You're spiritual, but you guys get street sense at the same time. So what I used to do was I used to flash in my green light, then withdraw it. Now the reason why I used to withdraw it was because I knew the timing was not right yet for a relationship. So when we're talking here and there, I would flash in the green light, then I'll withdraw it immediately. Then when I observe again that it's like it's been long, you flash green light, I'll flash again, withdraw. So she was getting the message I was passing intentionally. I was doing that for her to get so that she can wait, because that was what was playing in my head. My essence of doing that was see the green light and know that there's a reason for you to wait here, so that you don't, because I also knew, she used to tell me about the other guys.
Exactly, I was coming there, especially because I was just innocently just confiding in a brother of mine.
Yes.
Because he was brother zone.
The brother was still innocent too.
So I was just confiding and telling him, see what's going on, see this guy is asking me. I think by that time I'd broken up with.
Yeah.
Yes, I just come out of a relationship, so I was just gisting him basically because I knew that I was going to get married around a few years down the line. I knew. So I was just telling him because it was about time for me to make decisions and all that. So I was confiding in him. So I didn't know that what he was doing was flashing the green light so that I will now wait. Continue, sir.
Yeah, even the funny thing was there was even a time a close pal of mine was like becoming very close, and so someone would ask me, were you worried? I was never worried for once. Once in a while he would ask me, what do you think about this girl?
Okay, he was getting close to me.
Yes, to you.
Okay.
So he would come meet me like, what do you think about this girl? I'd be like, oh, she's a nice girl. Oh, I relate with her. I talk with her. She's very nice. She's fine. She's this, she's that. So if you are considering her, please, by all means, go ahead.
And you already knew.
And I already knew, right? But I was doing that because I wasn't bothered, right? I don't know the kind of work anybody has. So that's why I said initially that what I'm sharing is subjective, right?
Yes.
So there was that confidence in me that even if you people start dating, they didn't date, but in my head I was like, even if people start dating, when I'm ready to come and get my thing,
because he always works with what God has said.
Yeah.
So the only reason, and let me be honest, that is the only reason why a man could have the guts that he had. He already knew how God communicates to him. So God had told him that I was his, even though God had not yet told me, but
Yeah.
God was keeping me because I had no idea why I was staying on the spot. I wasn't saying yes to anybody. Good guys, great guys, but I wasn't just opening up to them. And that was because, God had his thing playing out. But this man, because of what God had said, and that's the man, and that's one of the things I appreciate in you. When God has said it, whether it looks like it or not, just because God has said, no matter how long, he stays there until it's time to move.
Alright, so all I was just waiting for was time to move. I know a couple of times I'll think about it. God will tell me, you don't worry. You are about what concerns me. I'll keep that which belongs to you. Yeah. And I knew what he was talking about, so I was fine. So until we started dating, courting officially, December 28, 2017.
And that year I told God, I said, if this guy doesn't make it, because why will I go on, I'll go on friendship dates. Then I was in First Stack with a few people, and they are communicating things I like to hear, visionary men, but it wasn't just working out. I couldn't wait to leave the place. My mind was going to somebody who
not
was
saying
busy
anything.
giving green lights and red lights. It was pretty confusing. And yet I was still sure that I was supposed to wait. I told God, if by the end of this year your son does not say anything, sir, I'm moving on. And at that point I meant it. And December 28th at a choir rehearsal.
After choir rehearsal.
After choir rehearsal.
The things that go on in church.
No, don't make it sound like that.
No. My point is, you think everybody talking in church they are sharing Rema. Yeah.
Yeah. So December
that's what I
28th
meant.
after choir rehearsal. According to him, he didn't even plan. Maybe we should share that.
What I had in mind was, I'd seen myself asking her out on that. What I had in mind was 31st December 2018.
Okay.
That's what I had in mind. Like, so that would be like a crossover thing, right? Because the same way a lady knows when a guy likes her, the same way a guy also would know when a lady is already buying his gospel, right? So she was already buying my gospel. Somehow I just knew, right? So that thing in me was like, okay, so let's just wait. So that was why I was showing the green light. The essence of the green light for me was know that my interest is here, but it's not yet time, right? And once in a while when we have conversation, I always tell her, that when God tells me something, if it is not yet time, no matter what, I won't go. Now, all of those things I was saying were very calculated. I was doing it intentionally to pass a point. So I came into church that night. We had a choir rehearsal. I came into church that night with the mind of just coming for rehearsal. And of course, after rehearsal, we used to sit down, just talk about life, share scriptures, and all that. So it was funny because rehearsal would be on, and I'm tired. I used to come from shop then. I'll be so tired, and in my mind, I just want to after rehearsal, I just go and sleep. But the Son of Man would actually stay awake throughout the night. Won't sleep.
Just talking scripture.
We just talk life, talk scriptures, music,
gospel music.
Then the Lord
Gospel
had
music.
snatched her from the jaws of
But different. We're having beautiful conversations.
Yeah, so we just stay up
till 7 a.m.
till 7 a.m.
Then he will now still follow me to the front of my father's house.
Then before I will now go
He will
back.
stop at my father the gates. He doesn't have to go inside. Stop in front, and he will go
Then
back.
I'll go back. So that was going on. So that was what I had in mind. Like, oh yeah, I'm coming to see my friend. Then she was my friend. Now she's my best friend, right? So I was coming to see my friend. I just got back from school that week, right? So I timed my arrival period perfectly so that I can see her on Wednesday before church on Sunday and all that. So Wednesdays were for me, the period where we really, really get to spend a lot of time. So I had to time my coming back within that period. So all I had in mind was just the normal conversation we normally have after rehearsals. We're in the middle of something very unrelated.
Yes.
Very, very unrelated. And that knowing I had the first day, I knew, just came again, right? And I knew at that point that it was the right time to say. So I fought it for a few seconds, like, no, I want it next year. But it was like God telling me, now is the right time. Now is the right time. And I didn't know at that time that, I didn't know she had told God already that if we cross into next year, we just had 3 days to the cross of the other year, so just so you know that nothing was planned, I just asked her, I said, can you wait for me? And
I'm like, wait for you to go to your sister's house and come back, because what kind of spiritual way of asking me out was that?
So I now did a little explanation on, and so that was how I asked her out. Okay, so I said before that I wasn't planning on asking her out that day.
Yeah.
So I think people would normally rehearse what to say, how they're going to say it, then be anxious. Be anxious, or thus says the Lord. Whilst I was praying, the heavens broke into two. So I didn't have any of that. We were just having a very random conversation, very unrelated, and I had that knowing I fought it for a few seconds, but when I knew, so all I could say at that point was, "Will you wait for me?" And after I said it, she was like, "Wait for you to do this or to do that." So I now had to explain what the whole "will you wait for me." So but the key line, the punch line
Will you
was,
wait for me?
"Will you wait for me?"
And it was very,
Unromantic.
yeah,
Being asked out in the church.
exactly. And they're not using the Prophet Elijah line. Will you wait for me? Like, who does that? But after he explained, and oh my God, his explanation was too visionary for me not to buy into. You know, he was showing me where his eyes were onto, and you know that did it for me. Because will you wait for me? Yeah. All right. So first off, it was that I had a friend in him. You know, a friend who was there. He was present, and he was not everywhere. He was not that guy you would see with everybody. And when I say everybody, I mean you cannot say he's with this person, that person, that person. No, he had this disciplined life, and so he was a friend who was, his eyes were one. And when they say the eyes is one, his eyes were just one, and he's just full of wisdom. So I used to love having conversations with him because it felt like a fount in him, so wise a fount. And he wasn't pushing it to you in his conversations, no. He would listen, and that's another thing. He loves to listen. He could listen for you 1 hour and just be silent, and he's like, you could see that he's into what you're saying, and he's visionary. Very visionary. So like I said, his legs could be in a place, but his eyes are onto what God has said. He's steadily strategizing and, you know, projecting onto what his life is about. And these things were very attractive. Also, he's family oriented. Very family oriented. You know, I would not have, you know, even been attracted to a person who did not love God. So he, God chaser, God lover. He's my friend, visionary, family oriented, super intelligent. Like, you could have several conversations about different other things with him aside just the random conversations. And you know, these things were the things that were just floating on top. I mean, getting to now know him as my husband, I'm thankful.
It's both ways, but I would say the first thing for me was God has said, right? At that point, you know, there's a way you can be in a relationship and you're still considering options and all that. For me, it was an issue of, if there's something that can't be, maybe something we don't agree on, it's not something to separate us, it's something we need to work on to get to a consensus, right? So, but it was both ways for me. You could have conversations with her and you're living with wisdom, right? So there are times when something happens, I want to react, you know, in a wrong way, and she tells you, no, this is not how to go about it, you know. And I mean, if you look at me, then and now, dress sense, you know, she had to teach me that. Yeah, that's totally, you know, if you had left me then, maybe I would have worn a suit on a palm, because I just love palm, you know. And for me, wearing palm on things that don't go, for me, was like I was being creative, right? So I think there's a balance to having a mind of your own. So I've always had a mind of my own, but sometimes that having a mind of your own can put you into trouble, right? So I was that way. So I really didn't care. And if I had worn a suit on a palm and you say this is not how to dress, I won't have listened to you. But being that this is someone I love, right, and I know that we're doing life together, and in every conversation we had, you could always tell that she was looking out for me, right? So it's a different thing when someone is communicating and the person is trying to shape you to what they think an ideal person should look like. Mm-hmm. That's selfish, right? But she was always looking out for me, you know. Apply perfume. I was not a perfume person, you know. So use perfume, use deodorant, you know, steady, you know, do this, this is how to dress, and sometimes just to pass the point, well, she would get that kind of clothes and send, right, and say. So when you see someone doing all of that, and it wasn't just this, right, the wisdom was so high for me. She had drive. She knew what she wanted, and she was always going for it, right? I mean, you don't want to get married to someone who you have to drag through life. You have to convince the person, you have to be serious. She had that going on for her. Somehow she's, that man side, I can handle things on my own, and yeah, balance to all of that is also very, very important.
Very important.
And you have to learn that, right? But
Yes.
that, all of that, then I mean, she loved God. She loves God. She still loves God.
Can we tone down on the spirituality and say,
Yeah.
my husband fine.
Yeah, and
he fine.
My wife is pretty.
He
yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Fine
you
girl.
can't leave out attraction.
No, you
and
can't.
Physical attraction.
Sorry if I didn't say it. Please.
Physical attraction.
Marry someone you're physically attracted
to.
I
Very
am
important.
physically attracted to my wife. Like, Lord, right? So don't you won't always be speaking in tongues.
Exactly.
You won't always be studying the Bible.
You won't always be high.
You won't always be high in this. Sometimes you just want someone you can just be proud of. Just look at them and like, woo, like damn, you're fine.
Yeah.
So that's important.
Very important.
Yeah. So let her go first, because I did a lot of anointing, so it's very easy for her to pick. But me, I have to really think to remember. So just in case maybe when it's my turn I don't remember, I'm not acting, right? I'm just being sincere. So
All right.
please,
So
and go gentle on me.
during courtship, because he was totally blank on a relationship. I mean, it was his first relationship. Like I said, I had been in one. I had a few experiences here and there, but he was totally blank. And so it was crazy for me because things I would naturally expect of him, he had no idea about. It was causing too many issues. Maybe one would be, let me use this, my video shoot. I had a video shoot. Do you remember that period?
Yeah.
And throughout the day, he did not ask, oh, like, you know how it is before the video shoot even commence? The man you're in a relationship with should, send a text and say, oh, how is it going? Oh, what's happening? Oh, nothing. I didn't hear from him. Not a word. It was in the evening when the video shoot was done. It occurred to me that the person I'm in a relationship with did not reach out to me. So I had to now call him and say, sir, I had video. Do you remember that I had video shoots today? And he's like, oh, I'm sorry. I've been so busy. And in my head, I'm like, so these things kept occurring. The negligent
Let me give you
part.
another one.
Okay, what?
Another one.
Okay.
On our first anniversary.
He did not remember.
So
That's
what,
anniversary in courtship.
In courtship.
Yeah.
So what happened was, I used to just go off on the world.
Yeah.
Right, because I love having retreats, right? So I do that back to back here and there. So that would entail me turning off my phone, going off social media and all of that. So I think 2 or 3 days before that day, I'd gone off like that, right? Just kaboom. And it's easy. I should have just communicated and told her, but
nothing. His family members were calling me. Where is Ike? Where is Ike? I said, how can I now? How would I explain to them that even I do not know where he is?
Yeah, so I'd always been used to being a lone ranger.
Yeah.
Where you don't have to confide in anyone, just talk basic stuff and all of that. So that was what informed that.
Throughout that day, we couldn't reach
So she
each other.
sent a gift.
Yeah.
I didn't remember it was even an anniversary, because for me, like, big deal. It's just we have not married, right? So you're just cutting. So what's the big deal?
And
so,
for me, I think that it's very important. Celebrate tradiversary.
Yeah.
It's just traditional wedding. You did your, white wedding, but still celebrate those things. Those things are just memories. And I think this message should also go out to ministers, every one of us in the ministry, let's ensure that that balance is present. Do not be so high up there in your retreat, your study. Let's know that it is marriage even before ministry. All right, you have to cater to these things. Be there for your children, be there for your wife. Husbands, be there for your wife. Wives, be there for your husbands. It's very important that we create that balance so that there is no imbalance. All right, I know you want to retreat for several weeks. I mean, why can't she retreat with you?
Yeah.
Why can't both of you have those moments together? So it's very important, very important. So those were the annoying things he did. But I mean, look at him now. He's a changed bottle of wine.
So I think for me, which was a wisdom thing for me, actually, I didn't have it. So here's what used to happen then. I'll be hard on myself, that's fine. Right, so what used to happen then was, so when we talk, like she said, right, she loved how I used to give advice. So sometimes I get carried away in all the, I love how you dissect issues when I bring it to you. And also, I just go in the pump of, so she comes up with something, and I just go kablam on her, like this is not right, this is not right, and she would then be like, I don't like the way you're responding. So in that moment, I'm like, come, hold on. Just a while ago, you just told me that you love. So now I'm just giving you more of, I had it hidden. What you say you love, and you're reacting like this. So I didn't know. All she needed was, don't come from a position of, and right now, understanding it, I don't even like when people do it to me. Right? So someone comes to you and tells you, I failed at this. The right thing to do is not to still major on what the person did or what they failed at, right? They know they failed. It's like even sinners. You see someone smoking and you're coming with a Bible, naturally they want to hide
and even be
the
defensive.
smoke and be defensive.
Yes.
So the right thing to do is not to now go hard on them and tell them you are going to hell. Listen, anybody going to hell knows they are going to hell.
Yeah.
So there's no point. So the right thing to do for me then would have just been to, I'm better with that now. But it used to annoy me then because I didn't understand, like, what's up? You said you like me telling you, giving you advice, and you're reacting like this. So it used to annoy me then, but like I said, it was a wisdom thing that I didn't have that was causing the problem. So I asked her out December 28th.
Yeah.
And my spiritual dad, normally towards the end of the year, stays away. He stays alone. He's usually on retreat. And immediately after that, he does that till the turn of the year, crossover service. Then after crossover service, he travels straight up to the east. So what happened was I couldn't see him within that period, that space of time, being that he was towards the close of the year and he had that retreat thing going on. Then first and second is celebration day and all of that. So before I could know what was happening, I traveled. But that January, I was going back to the east.
Yeah.
He was in the village.
So you got to see
So
him
I
there.
went to see him in his house at the village and told him, I just asked your daughter out on December 28th, so and so. And so he asked a few questions he could ask, then gave us his blessings, and eventually he requested to see her, and they spoke about it.
And so the effect of that, of sharing that, is that accountability thing.
Yeah.
And that submission thing, it would always give you guys, both of you, that coverage, that security. You know that, oh, this person is now aware, this person is now aware. So you want to live up to the responsibility. You want to do better.
Yeah.
You want to get better because you've seen their marriages work.
Yeah.
So you want to be accountable. You want to show, even because I'm also interested in knowing who you're submitted to. And I mean, we're submitted to the same spiritual father, Reverend Donatus Obi, and also we had an amazing mentor that, we've seen their marriages work. So this is what this thing does for you. It shows that you're accountable, you're submitted, and you're willing to make this work. And also who you can once in a while also report certain situations to, so you can get clarifications on. Very important. So
she would kick off, but let me just say this. we dated for 2 years. We courted for 2 years and how many months?
I can't remember.
Maybe 6 months or so.
Yeah.
8 months.
Yeah.
Thereabouts. And on paper, that's what it looks like. But we broke up in that 2 years and
For like 1 year.
we broke up for like which kind of 1 year? We broke up for like
No,
1 year
now you're exaggerating.
and 3 months.
You're exaggerating.
So if you subtract
He's
if you
exaggerating.
subtract 1 year and 3 months from 2 years and 8 months, the remaining months is when we
You're
dated.
exaggerating.
I'm the one that was keeping record because she
You're
was always the one
exaggerating.
breaking up with me. She just, you know what, I'm done. And I'll be like, I used to, okay, I think I should have said this. I used to annoy me.
Probably
So
that's how you.
this is what she used to do that used to annoy me. I'll be like, but we are convinced because that's how I reason. I'm like, God told you to be here.
God told you to be here, but you were not nurturing what God gave to you.
So that was my mindset was not minding what we see, right? Would walk through
And you
it.
know how it works?
She didn't have that mindset.
I didn't have that mindset.
Yes, so just confess.
Because
Confess you didn't have that mindset.
Hey, if you're gonna stress me out, no, let's not do this. I can't
Yeah.
stand this.
So you
Because
said, I'll be like,
I had a level of understanding that he wasn't operating from because he didn't have an idea of what a relationship should be. So
Yeah.
it felt like a lot of work. Like, how won't you know you're supposed to call? How won't you know you're just supposed to nurture? I'm a woman. You're supposed to do these things. And it took him reading books, confiding in mentors,
Should I-
and all of
should I-
that.
should I
And I
tell
was
you
not
the
even
key?
ready for that.
the key thing that broke me was one time I was in Makurdi and we had a very lengthy. We broke up when I was in camp. When I was in NYSC camp. Now that day, soldier just pursued me. You know how camp can be when they are hurrying everybody. Soldier just pursued me. Then she called me as I was still trying to catch my breath. She called me like, you don't call, you don't check up, even though you're in camp and all that. So I was like, do you know how busy this? On a norm, maybe I would have answered that question gently, but I was just chased by soldiers. Please,
I just said.
So I was like, do you know how busy? So she was like, you know what? That was the exact word she used. You know what? I'm done.
And you know how it is.
So I was like, you are done? I'm done too. And I ended the call.
And I'm like, see this one. I'm not going back to this relationship again. I'm done. I'm tired.
She always tell me, you know what? This time I mean what I'm saying. She said that thing like maybe 7 times or so. Because we're always breaking up. We're always breaking up. Every time she felt this time was the last time, and we will eventually come back.
Yeah, but no,
No.
I don't say come back.
So
In fact, one particular time, I think it was my mom that noticed, there was a break in transmission,
Yeah.
and she was like, "What's going on?" I'm like, "No, who's that? I'm done. I'm not in a relationship with him anymore." Majorly just trying to prepare her mind for the next person because. In that space, and you know how it is when there's a vacuum in a relationship, there are responsible people who are already chipping their heads and are trying to live up to that responsibility. You start considering them, and even in that space, I was experiencing that peace. But yet, this fella was stressing me out. So it made me always say, you know what? Let's break up. Since you don't want to live up to responsibility.
What she didn't know was that her mom called me.
Yeah, I didn't. know
Yeah,
that.
she didn't know. She called me one of the days and was like, she was not giving me advice that, all the problem we were having was centered around communication.
Yeah.
That was all.
He
There was
wasn't
no other thing.
communicating.
Right? Because, like I said before, I could just blank out. I could just be like, okay,
2 months.
I need some time with God,
1
and I
week.
blank out 1 week,
Huh.
2 weeks. Turn off my phone. Nobody's
No
reaching me. No
communication. He didn't say
communication.
anything.
So it was terrible, right? So she could take it for a while, and after some time she's like, I'm
Just
done.
blow up.
And so mom called me and was giving me advice that you have to follow a woman, you have to be communicating and all that. And
before courtship, it was not like that. So it felt like,
no,
we're
but
not inside
I used to do
courtship.
it a little then.
Yes, but you were not like that. But you were more present before courtship than even when we now entered courtship. Because I'm like, one day I told you, I said, if this is how you were doing, we will not have been here. Yeah, I had to tell him, But I right now in this place, I can understand because after losing his parents, he went into himself. Nobody at all. Like, imagine being a lone ranger, basically. So now, right now, I understand that it took him a lot of work to get here. But over there, any lady, anybody.
Yeah, would have broken up 7 times with me.
I mean, any right-thinking person who is not desperate
Would have broken up 7
would have
times.
broken up
Or like
several
10 times. 10 times.
Several.
So what broke me actually was after we came out of camp, where I think that breakup was the longest we had. I think we went for like 5 months or so.
Yeah.
So the day we finally mended everything, I remember where I was. I was under one mango tree opposite the house where I stayed, and so I was telling God, I was like, God, I mean, why am I like this?
Yeah.
Right? So it was like I was having a conflict. There was this part of me that really wanted to be all that I was supposed to be, and there was this part of me that was hardened already. This is how you are. This is your Lone Ranger thing. So it was a conflict kind of thing. So I was telling God, I was like, and I was crying, right? And that's why when she was talking when we started, she said something about your relationship with God, friendship, and there's really nothing you can't discuss.
Yeah.
I don't believe there's nothing we shouldn't pray about.
Yeah.
Right? So what I did was I took it up in prayers, and I'll pray, I'll tell God. Now that was the first time I really broke down in tears about it. But over and over again, I always tell God, I'll be like, God, I want to be a reflection of your love to your daughter. Just the same way Christ is a reflection of love to the church. I mean, Christ is the groom of the church, and we are his bride. The same way you love the church is the same way I want to be a reflection of that love to your daughter. And even after that time, we still had we had issues here and there. But every single time, I think what God was compensating me for, was he was seeing my heart. He saw that I was genuine.
For issues, address the issue and do not slander the person. And always remember that whilst you are having conflicts can be a ladder to understanding yourselves.
Yeah. Let me. I remember this. Right after we got married, I had a conversation with her boss, right? And
shout out to Mr. Easy.
Yeah, shout out to Mr. Easy T. All right. So he said something very striking. I'm not sure he remembers telling me this, but it stuck with me. So he told me, he said, now you guys are married, please understand that misunderstanding is an opportunity to understand each other better, right? And when he said that thing, it was like, whoa, and so what happens for me now is whenever we have any reason to have a misunderstanding, I'm not happy we're having a misunderstanding, but I'm happy at the same time.
Yes.
Right? Because that gives us that. If you see misunderstanding the way it is, what it's telling you is that there's an issue here that you guys have not reached a consensus on. Right? That's all it's saying. It doesn't mean that your partner is bad, and it doesn't mean that you're bad. Right? I mean, two of you grew up from different backgrounds. You're exposed to different environments.
You even have issues with
your siblings that you were born with.
Yeah.
In the same house.
You
grew up with. Right? So anytime misunderstanding comes, for me it's just like, woo, this is something that we've not trashed out, and this is an opportunity for us to reach a consensus on it. So like she said, separate issues from persons. There's no need, let me give a very good example. Let's say there's a difference between this thing is dirty and you are a dirty person.
Yes.
This is how you always do every time. When you move from this thing is dirty
to you're a dirty
person, you're attacking the person. And no, it's rare to find people who react right when they're attacked.
Yeah.
Because once you attack a person, the person goes defensive. Yeah. Have you ever seen anybody? Why do you think people go to court? Right? They go to court, go to lower court, go to another court.
You did not defend yourself.
Oh, sorry.
Is it because it's from me?
Yes, it's from you. So
wow.
I'm at peace. Thank you. Go to court, go to appeal court, go to Supreme Court. If there was another court after Supreme Court, they would have gone. You know why? Nobody wins an argument. Right. So whilst you are, the judge might have said you won the case, but because it was an argument, it was point against point. It's point. Let me prove my point. Now, when you are in an argument, as the person is talking, you are picking. You're not listening to hear.
Come on.
You're listening to attack. So the fastest way to get someone into that mode is to attack the person. Once you
Yeah.
tell the person you are a dirty person, the person is already thinking of, because you too, you have your own.
Come on, yeah.
Right?
Is it because I'm not talking?
Yes, is it because I'm not talking? So the
Yeah.
person is going past the point of there's something to fix here too. You're attacking me, I have to give you the same thing.
Yeah.
Right? So as much as possible, we avoid that. Not even as much as possible. We don't do it. Right? We don't. Right? So, but if you catch yourself doing that, the right thing to do is afterwards apologize. I was sorry here. I shouldn't have reacted the way I reacted. I shouldn't have said this. I don't think there's anything apology can fix.
Come on, yes, especially a sincere apology.
Sincere one.
I always say that after apologizing, a true apology is a changed behavior.
Yeah, yeah.
So after saying I'm sorry, ensure you're not just saying I'm sorry just for the moment. Ensure that you mean it, and then it's sorted.
I knelt down. There's no crime in that, right? I knelt down and I can't remember the exact words I said, but we shall propose.
As it was really in the words, I remember when I'm like, hold up, I'm getting engaged. It was a whole surprise. The whole how I was dragged in, to come for it was very surprising.